And along with that, the Urban Forestry Committee meeting. The first order of business is the minutes of April 20th. Is there a motion to approve those? Accept those minutes? Been a motion to approve those. Is there a second? A second. Any corrections or additions to those minutes? Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes approved. The first order of business, and we have a timetable on this for approximately 20 minutes. I think we'll do it in about 5. Is the, hopefully a little bit longer, the Urban Forestry Committee meeting. Call that to order. And starting off, we're going to discuss scheduled events for Arbor Day. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hadley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me? On? Thank you. Yes, basically I'll just give you a rundown. Today's paper actually has the rundown of the event on Friday. It's at 12 noon on the corner of Sims and Villard. Anyone that can attend, we'd sure like you to participate and come down and watch. We are replacing 4 trees that used to be in that location. We're putting those in. Gary from Public Works is here. His folks have readied the holes, and we've obtained the trees. I picked the trees out. The trees basically are linden trees. They're very similar. They're the same type of tree that exists on a lot of Sims in the downtown area, so it kind of ties in with the area. The City Commission did do the proclamation at the last commission meeting, so I think that was a topic that we talked about. There is an article in today's newspaper that also explains that and solicits the public to be involved. I've attended the Downtown Association meetings and brought up, and those folks I think are going to support our effort there, and they support the probably a multi-year effort to replace, there's 34 sites downtown where there used to be trees and now there's not. So there is going to be a little bit of an undertaking. Gary has a pretty limited budget. I have a even more limited budget, I guess I'll say, from the urban forestry side to replace grates and replace some of those trees. So we'll be looking to try to piece that together. Gary has a number of avenues. He's obtained a number of trees that he's going to share some of those and replace some of them downtown, and he'll talk about that in a minute. The Arbor Day, on number 2, basically the public notice, we were going to talk about how we were going to do that at the last meeting and this meeting. Really, it's been taken care of. It's in the paper today. The public, as best we can at this point, we have some flyers that Brandy made for us that are up around town and some of the locations that we could hit. For this short notice of putting this together, we've probably done the best we can do as far as getting the word out to the public. But we would like the public to know that I feel the City Commission is fully in support of moving forward and upgrading our urban forestry program and actually getting the citizens involved. It's not necessarily always about the city funding projects like this one. It's also private property owners who determine that they would like to have trees in front of their property, whether it be residential or commercial, and work with the city on placing those in the right-of-ways, just to better the urban forest for the entire city. So that's kind of the goal at this point where we are. And if you have any questions,
any questions for Mr. Hammond? I think it's a great thing that the city's getting involved with Arbor Day a little bit more actively. And at this time, I'd ask Gary, on this sheet you handed out, can you just walk us through this, explain a little bit there, if there's something we need to be aware of that this is the first time I've seen this, so.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commission, good morning. I wanted to give you an update of where the Forestry Department was at removing trees, especially the Dutch elm disease trees. And I did pass out a sheet showing, listing the areas and the totals the trees we've removed. I also have a map, if Brandy could hit the lights, it kind of shows it on Google Map of the areas. And as you notice, they're all in the downtown area. Excuse me a second. There we go. And this just shows the locations of what's on your sheet of listing of the areas. The yellow areas are the trees that were removed in 2013. The green is what was removed last fall in 2015, and the pink is what they're working on now, the spring of 2016. Just want to show you the effort that is being done to remove the Dutch elm disease trees. As you can see, the majority is in the original downtown area, which makes sense because of the age of the Dutch elm, and that's where the Dutch elm was planted in town. So there are also, we had budgeted to remove 50 Dutch elm disease trees. We are actually going to expand that to 80 to try to get on top of it as much as we can to stop the disease. We've also sent out notices. Now this is just on public right-of-way and boulevards. We've also sent out notices to private property owners that we've noticed has Dutch elm disease, and requesting them to remove the tree and give them a timeline to remove the tree. And if they do have a tree on private property that has Dutch elm disease, and they wish to get it removed, they can put it on their taxes too. We passed a resolution that they can put it on in assessing their property for taxes for the removal of that tree.
And what's the repayment period, do you know?
I'm not sure yet. We haven't set it up, but I know we passed the resolution, so I'm not.
But it's more than just it's a longer time period than just a one-time payment.
Yes, I think it's 5 years.
5 years or.
I believe
yeah.
so. So it gives them some time to pay off the removal of the tree.
What does it cost to take down a big elm?
Well, we contracted with a arborist, and I think the first 30 trees were approximately, I would say about $600 to $1,000, and that we thought we got a good price. The other people that we did solicit depends on a big tree, it was more like a couple $1,000. So I guess it depends, and that's grinding the tree, the stump out, and that's on the boulevard. So I guess it ranges because we have big and small trees. We did this is how many trees we wanted to get removed, and that's the price we got. It isn't inexpensive.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share with the committee this morning what we've removed, and we will be removing probably 20 or 30 more this spring. And then hopefully during budget season we can continue and maybe increase, stop the spread of the Dutch elm disease tree and removing the hazardous trees in the city of Dickinson. Any questions on that?
No, thanks a lot, Gary,
I guess,
for on that.
you know, if we move on to the action plan for new planting of the trees, we've looked at one of the areas we would like to plant, of course, is to try to replace some of these that have the Dutch elm disease where we can, where it fits. Some we're planted too close, we don't want to replace those, but we would like to, and we did order, I believe it was 60 trees, and so we would like to repopulate where we can here, and then also working with Mr. Hadley, put a good portion of the trees in the downtown area where he had talked about repopulating some of the trees in the downtown.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? I think this is a great thing. For those that aren't aware of the Arbor Day Foundation, they have troves of information. resources that are available. You can set up conferences with them. You can get product from them, very reasonable. They raise product for all different areas of the United States. They have it for where you are, and they try to get you what you need. I've been a member of the Arbor Day Foundation for as long as I can remember, and probably most of you have never heard of it, but I'm a charter member of the Hazelnut Foundation with them, which is fantastic. They have a nationwide project for getting hazelnuts established. They're great hardy shrubs. Actually, they're not really a tree. You can make them look like a tree if you prune them, but they're great for wildlife, borders. Just a fantastic project they've got going. So I'm really glad to see whoever initiated all this, and I think it was Mr. Hadley, but whoever it was, it's fantastic that you've done it. That you've taken the initiative to get this going with the Arbor Day Foundation and with the City Forestry Department and our Urban Forestry Program. There's one thing great about the Arbor Day Foundation. They're not anti-coal, they're not anti-oil, they're not anti-nuclear, they're not anti-hunting or fishing. They're just pro-trees. They're trying to show the benefit of having trees. And if you need to hear about how great trees are, just give them a call. They'll let you know that kind of stuff. So, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Hadley?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one more thing to add. You know, we do not have a forester this year, so I do want to appreciate my admin assistant for helping with this, and Mr. Hadley and staff for trying to fill the shoes of the forester. Also, I did forget to mention we are currently planting trees along 30th in the median. NDSU, with a grant, they're planting 80 trees on the median of 30th on the interim bypass as we speak. A couple of professors with the forestry department and a group of college students are planting the trees. And so by the end of the day, that'll probably be populated with trees.
What about the west side of 30th? We've got the east side.
There was some trees on the east side. Today we're planting them in the median. But we could sure look at all areas.
You know, as long as we're just talking here a little bit, and I see Mr. Kessel in the back of the room, but we lost our tree spade, you know, about a year ago. The city did own a tree spade, and there was some ongoing conversation about the city using that tree spade and taking some trees from developments that trees were going to get dozed under and moving these trees various places. Well, we can't do that now, of course. So I hope we can find the money to replace that tree spade and do some of that work in the future.
I would sure appreciate the support at budget time, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank everybody who has put all the effort into this. It's fantastic. Mr. Hadley, would you like to add anything else?
Yes, I would, Mr. Chairman. I just have a couple of real quick things. In front of you, you have a list. It's an updated list that you saw last month for the downtown core of the areas that we're looking to replace trees. So I just thought you might like to have that as kind of a reference on as we pick off a few items. We can note those on here. And if you see any others, if I happen to miss, you know, I walked downtown and found what I could. If you see any other areas that I missed, please let me know and we'll add it to the list. The last thing I have is, yesterday I did I think Gary had mentioned he might have a few extra trees, so I did go yesterday afternoon and travel through town, a number of different places, and I don't have this list in a final form yet. Next month I will get it to you. It was in my truck last night. I have 12 other locations where there's probably 40 trees that we could replace throughout town. So, you know, as we find, you know, as we have this, I'll share this with Gary And, you know, if we have areas that we can actually put some of these extra trees we have, we'll go ahead and either replace the ones that have died or where they've been removed. So we have a number of them throughout the rest of town. This is actually all the way around the rest of town. So we'll work on that too, and I'll get you a list next month.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Anyone else would like to add anything to this portion of our meeting, the Urban Forestry Committee meeting? This time then we'll actually adjourn this portion of the meeting and we'll go to our regular